Hello and welcome to Firefly episode overview number 11, Trash. And here we go. Trash is the 11th episode of the Firefly TV series and wasn't aired during the original series run. It was finally aired June 28, 2003. The show opens in a desert where a naked Mal sits on a rock. Staring into the distance, he says to himself, "Yeah, that went well." Flashback to 72 hours earlier, where Mel meets fellow independent soldier-turned-smuggler Monty. Monty's crew is engaged in unloading his own ship as the two captains chat. Monty announces that he's gotten married and introduces his new lovely bride, Bridget. As soon as they spot each other, Mal and Bridget pulls guns on each other. Bridget turns out to be none other than Mal's nemesis, Saffron. The two adversaries disarm each other and struggle until a bewildered Monty separates them. Mal tells Monty that Saffron is his wife. Saffron objects and addresses Mal by name, to which Monty interjects that he had never formally introduced the two, catching Saffron at her treachery. Monty, cursing over his ship's intercom, strands Saffron at the drop point with Mal. When Mal orders Saffron to start walking away from his scrap of nowhere, Saffron unsuccessfully works her wiles on him, then switches to teasing him with profitable, planned theft in order to avoid being stranded on this lifeless piece of crap moon. Later, Serenity arrives to pick up Mal and the unloaded cargo. The crew is puzzled over Mal's injuries, which he refuses to discuss. When Inara invites him into her shuttle for tea, he rants about the use of her feminine wiles to manipulate him. Inara gets to her point. She wants to be able to conduct her business and implies that he is deliberately making it hard for her to find clients. As their argument dissolves into personal attacks, Inara calls him a petty thief and suggests that he hasn't been serious about his own work lately. The scene cuts to Mal in the cargo bay, opening one of the unloaded crates, getting Saffron out for more details on her million-square job. In the common room, Saffron stands before the crew describing her plan to rob an antique laser pistol, the Lassiter, from Durand Hamer, a wealthy collector of the Earth that was artifacts. She claims a remarkable awareness of Hamer's security arrangements, but insists that she needs help getting the weapon off the estate. However, the crew expresses outrage that they're even considering working with her, given her previous attempts to kill them all and steal their ship. Mal discusses his reasons for his leniency, pointedly quoting out some of Inara's words in their earlier argument to imply that she's partly responsible for his descent into lunacy. Zoe is skeptical but decides to go with the plan, immediately after delivering a flooring punch to the con artist's chin. While Jane watches over Simon and River, keeping them out of Saffron's sight, River delivers warnings about not trusting Saffron. She tells Simon in private that Jane has been scared since her visit to Ariel. Meanwhile, Wash and Kaylee describe their detailed plans of how to get Mal and Saffron in and the antique weapon out, interspliced with a montage of scenes of the activities as they take place. The key to the plan is to dump the collectible pistol into an automated trash disposal unit, which Kaylee will reprogram to take the trash to a remote location where they can pick it up. Mal and Saffron enter the estate without difficulty, proving correct Saffron's claims about her inside knowledge. They quickly find the room that features the well-protected collectible, but are surprised when Durand himself enters. Mal is further surprised when Durand rushes to Saffron and embraces her, thanking him for bringing back his wife, Yolanda. Apparently, Yolanda disappeared 6 years earlier, at the same time an estate worker was killed, but Saffron insists that Durand provides some compensation for Mal's rescue. As Durand leaves to get the money, the uneasy partners finish retrieving the pistol, while Mal wonders aloud whether Saffron is actually in love with Durand, and if he might be her real husband. She responds by pulling her weapon on him and insulting him. When Durand arrives in time to observe this disconnect with her story, she tries to backpedal, but Mal tells him the truth about the robbery attempt. While Saffron expresses contempt for Durand, Mal drops the antique into the trash chute. Durand, however, informs his beloved wife that he had notified the authorities the moment he found them in his trophy room. Saffron again demonstrates her erratic nature by switching back to her feminine wiles, but finally ends up knocking this husband unconscious. As the feds descend on the estate, the two thieves barrel through them and leave in Serenity's shuttle. Meanwhile, Wash has been holding Serenity directly under Haymir's estate's trash unit, while Jane retrieves the control unit and Kaylee reprograms it, clinging to the ship's hull. During the windy EVA, Jane is shocked unconscious. Book drags the mercenary back into Serenity to be treated by Simon. Zoe goes outside to help Kaylee, who barely manages to get the control board plugged in before the automated pickup vessel comes up behind them and attaches itself to the trash unit. Off it goes with the priceless weapon. As Mel's shuttle flies towards the rendezvous in Isis Cannon, he continues to explore his theory that Duran was Saffron's true love and original husband, and the con artist seems to break down in contemplation of what she's lost. As Mel regrettably expresses his belief that she'll go back to being her own conning self, she proves him correct by pulling his own gun on him. Meanwhile, the crew of Serenity find that Saffron sabotaged the ship's alternators, preventing the ship from maneuvering. The ship is forced to touch down and won't be able to make the rendezvous. Saffron forces Mel to disrobe and strands him in a desert, leaving him to yell curses at her as she departs in the shuttle. At the trash yard, Saffron searches through the garbage for the antique pistol. To her surprise, Anara emerges above her to taunt her with the weapon. She explains that Serenity's crew has been playing Saffron all along, although some of the crew's performances weren't quite as nuanced as they could have been. The companion also claims to be part of the plan all along, knowing that Saffron could get the drop on them somehow and arranging to beat the clever thief at her own game of deception. She remotely closes the container to trap Saffron for the authorities to pick up later. In the infirmary, Jane awakens to find himself medically paralyzed to rest a spinal injury. When Jane asks if he's going to be okay, the doctor calmly asks him how much he was offered to hand over the TAMs to the Alliance. Jane calls anybody there, and River appears. Jane then asks anybody else. With Jane paralyzed and in the company of the people he sold out, Simon ominously points out that in Jane's dangerous line of work, he will require the services of the ship's doctor again. But he surprises the mercenary by promising, "I want you to understand one thing very clearly. No matter what you do, or say, or plot, no matter how you come down on us, I will never, ever harm you." Because he's a doctor, and Jane is part of the ship's crew. After the good-hearted doctor leaves, River peeks in to tell the wounded man, "Also, I can kill you with my brain." Later, Serenity makes it to Mal's location, where Mal remarks, "That went well," as in the opening scene. Anara and Mal trade some quips about Mal's plan. Wash and Zoe look on, awkwardly stunned, as Mal cheerfully re-enters Serenity, still missing clothing, and muses unself-consciously about the success of their heist, which seems to offer a rosier financial future than before.